I'm not crying anymore, oh, because I praise the Lord. I've been laughing all day long because of my Lord. Depression doesn't faze me anymore. Anxiety is gone because of my Lord. It's time.
Hey everybody, welcome to Lost Light and Laughter, an uplifting show about laughter after tragedy. I'm your host, Michelle A. If you're ready for some inspiration and laughter in your life, you've tuned in to the right show.
It's time to show love, everybody. Show love one time. Feel me strong enough to fight my battles. I know he'll never give me more than I can handle. My Lord, my King, the one that I do love. He sends his love down.
Welcome back to another episode of Lost Light and Laughter. I'm your host, Michelle A. And today I have a childhood friend with me on. I am so excited. I want you guys to meet Shaquana Cooper. What's your last name? Give me your last name.
Williams.
Shaquana, okay, Williams. She got married, and I'm like, man, I remember Quana from back in the day, y'all. That's what I remember, okay?
Yes.
I want to tell you how far we go back, like high school days. Like
John Jay.
Yes, we went to John Jay.
Brooklyn.
Yes, in Brooklyn, New York, like the pat down was real, okay? We had metal detectors before the airport had them, okay?
Yes.
This is how far back we go, y'all. We've come a long way.
Yes, we
I'll
have
to get pat, when I go to the airport, I'm getting patted down, but it's not a regular occurrence no more.
Yes.
Okay, look, Shaquana, come on in and tell everybody who you are, what you do, whatever you want to share about who you are.
Well, good afternoon or good evening, everybody. My name is Shaquana Cooper Williams. I am a true Brooklynite. I no longer reside in Brooklyn or in the state of New York, but I go home, several times a year because I have to get that fixed. I love New York and dislike it in the same breath. It's too crowded. I am an attorney with a federal government agency. I've been in this field for about 13 years. Let's see. Like you said, I recently got married. I got married in March of this year. But we've been together for 6.5 years altogether, dating and being engaged and now married. So 6.5 years. I met my husband in South Carolina when I lived there for a couple of years. So
yeah. We've come a long way from Brooklyn, y'all.
Girl, a long way from Brooklyn.
Listen, oh my goodness. Okay, so Shaquana, I want to tell you thank you so much for coming on the show. And as you know, the name of the show is called Lost Light and Laughter. So tell the audience about a significant loss that you have experienced in your life. You have the freedom to share as much or as little as you like. Just let us know what you feel like you've lost in life.
So, we are a part of the generation that now we're all about mental health and creating boundaries, right?
Yes.
And so as I am going through therapy, I have I've come to the realization that I am a people's person to my detriment. I'm a yes person. I want to please everybody. I want to get everybody a yes. And this is in my personal life. This is in my professional life. And, professionally, it makes sense. You want to be able to get a yes to your clients as long as it's within the confines of the law. Right. But sometimes in my personal life, I will give a yes when I really don't. I really want to give a no, or I give a yes, again, to my detriment. So I pour from an empty cup because I'm giving so much and I'm never being replenished. And so there's not one thing in particular that I can pinpoint because there's just several different facets in life. Whether it's, because I'm a lawyer, everybody seems to think that I make $1 million a year. So I get random text messages or phone calls. Hey, can I borrow? Hey, can you buy and I'll pay you back? And I'm just like, bro, I got student loans and I pay for this roof over my head.
Right.
Like, what do you think? Like, I'm not sitting on old money, right? Like, I come from a dual income household. Both of my parents had to work, and I have to work every day. I am maybe 2 paychecks away from being homeless, right? Like I gotta manage money right just like everybody else.
Right.
But it's,
Inflation hits everyone. Yeah, no one's exempt
girl,
from
no
inflation.
one.
Okay.
No one is exempt from it. But I find that a lot of times I give a yes when I know I shouldn't, It's like, hey, Shaquana, it's almost as if I am also enabling people as well, right? And I know this because for you to constantly call me every 2 weeks as if I have you on my payroll to ask for money, or it's the constant, can you babysit? Or it's the constant, I want you to do this. I want you to go here with me. In the familiar sense, in the family sense, that tugs hard on me. So like, when my mom wants me to do something, we kind of sort of got into it, not this past Sunday, the Sunday before. It was Saturday, because she said, you're going to church with me. And I was like, I'm like, are you asking me? Or are you telling me? Right? Like,
right. Right.
Anymore. And I have my heart set on, my husband and we're visiting churches, and we're spending a month at a time at each church so that we can see the 4 Sundays. And I have my heart set on this one church, going back to the church that Sunday. And so what happened was she caught an attitude with me, and then she became non-respondent with me. I would ask a question and she either wouldn't answer it or she'd be really short. And so in my angst, right, and wanting to, I need to please her. All right, so Sunday I get up and I get dressed, and now I'm going to church with her. And she does the whole, but you don't have to go with me, right? And it's just like, are we really doing this? Like, come on, let's just go. And I regretted it the whole time. It was a cute little children's, Christmas program that they had, but that's not where I wanted to be. That's not what I wanted. And so my spirit wasn't fed with the word of God, because your church was doing something, but that's not what I needed. I needed my spirit to be fed. So to my detriment, my spirit wasn't fed. And I don't feel like I had the most productive week because I didn't get the word to help me build up my armor of God for that work week.
Right. You didn't get it wasn't your best yes.
It wasn't my best yes. It wasn't my best yes. I remember, so when my husband and I were still dating, my husband was living in another state and he was tired of the long distance. And so he basically gave me an ultimatum, like, yo, this, like, I need us to be in the same city, same state, I need us to be together. And that's when I wound up relocating to Clarksville. And when I moved there, it's already isolating to be somewhere. So I work from home, right? I am 100% virtual. And so I'm moving somewhere where I don't have any friends or family, right? You're my only person. And then COVID hits. So I am extra isolated.
Right.
I feel so alone. And I remember at one point we got into an argument because he's like, when I leave, you're on the phone. When I come home, you're on the phone. He works in a restaurant industry. And so, if he not if he left early in the morning, sometimes early in the morning, I would be on the phone. But a lot of times, like, he would come home and I'm still on the phone. It's just like, I don't have friends here. I don't have family here. This is my only connection to my world.
Yeah.
Like, I uprooted my life to move here for the sake of this relationship, and COVID has hit. I feel isolated. I'm locked into this box of an apartment because I would go out to make a quick run to the grocery store, but again, this is the history of COVID, right? So it's not like you're walking through the mall or walking through an outlet, or you're not going out to brunch. Like, none of these things are happening, and so now I'm not feeling good.
Yeah.
It's cold. There are tornadoes. What?
Mm-hmm,
Is this the
mm-hmm.
Wizard of Oz?
Yep. Tennessee tornadoes. Yep.
Girl, I remember one time there was a
Uh-huh.
tornado coming through and he called me and was just like, he was at work. So he was like, I want you to lay in the bathtub and wait. And I was like, lay in the bathtub?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yep.
Where am I?
Yeah.
So, these are some examples of just me not saying no when I really want to say no. And, it's one of those things where I don't want to disappoint the other person, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to, I want to please everybody. And I don't necessarily know when that started for me.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you know what it stems from?
I don't know. I know I remembered being like this as a child because I remember even with a cousin of mine, if she wanted to play something and I wanted to play something differently, and I was at her house, we had to play what she wanted to play. And I'm very easy to give in, right? Because while I'll tell people all the time, I don't mind conflict, but I will try to avoid it. But if we got to be in each other's faces, the Brooklynite in me comes out, right?
Hey,
like,
yeah, I
gonna make it do what it do. But my first action is to not have conflict, to try to resolve and just, you know what? If I have to be uncomfortable for a little while, I'll be uncomfortable. But now I'm an adult, and it's bigger than being uncomfortable. I am empty.
Yeah,
I am empty. And there is nothing being poured into me. People are still trying to take the cup. The cup is empty and they want the cup.
Yeah.
So, that's, I'm working through that. My therapist, she said to me, I want you to think about when you say yes, what is it that you wanted to say no to? Mm-hmm. And what is the impact of not saying no?
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes it could be something as simple as, remember when we were younger, when we was in our 20s and you can go and hang out at the club all night. I don't want to go out. I don't feel like standing in heels and my feet hurting me. It's cold. I just want to be inside. But I would always concede and give the yes. And, the next day it's just like, I could have just stayed at home and watched another episode of Sex and the City.
Right. Yes. You could have just did what you wanted to do.
Just did what you wanted to do. Yeah. So
I want to say it feels like a loss. There's a loss of self. There's a loss of your best yes.
Yes.
There's a lot of losses there. And I'm glad you mentioned it, especially in light of COVID as well, too, because a lot of people probably did go into that mode where it's just like, this is what I have in front of me. So let me just say yes to it because there's nothing else. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow because COVID, that was really scary.
But again, I moved before it became a thing, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to move, but it was just like I was in a better position because I work from home. So it was better for me than for him to have to transfer or find another job. And you're trying to figure out what's the next step. Are we going to be together? Are we not going to be together? What's going to happen? And so I moved, but it was just like, my closest relatives were 5 hours away in Atlanta. And while I have lived far away from people before, it was for law school, right? So I'm here to study, I'm here to do this. I had something to occupy my time. And then I made some acquaintances and colleagues along the way, right? But when you're working from home in a foreign place, and then this huge pandemic hits, there was no time to volunteer because that's what I did. Even when I first moved to South Carolina, once I, made sure my mom was good and, we were off to a new start because I had lost my dad, I started volunteering. I'm off from work every other Friday. So I started volunteering on my Fridays off because I wanted to give back to the community.
Right.
And I started meeting people that way. Well, there's no volunteering. There's no going to different churches. There's no meetup groups. There's none of that in COVID. Right. And so then now we have an argument. And so now I'm throwing this in his face. I'm here because of you, and I hate it here, and my life is miserable because of you. And that's not fair to him, because I made the decision. He asked, and I chose to say yes to him.
Yeah.
I could have easily just said no and just see what happens, see where the chips was going to fall. Like, and what I do, how I feel, I don't know for certain, but I do believe that our relationship would have would have overstood the mustard. Like, he was just like, I'm tired of long distance. You need to move here. I don't want us to be apart anymore. I don't think this is going to work. It would have still worked. We would have made it work because we had made it work for about 3 years. So what's another year? Right. It would have, it would have worked. But, I also didn't want to test that.
Yeah. And I get it. We're getting older. And when you have something solid, why play games with it?
Yeah. I didn't want to test it. So it was just like, I don't want to be the cause of the demise if this doesn't work. I want to be able to honestly say, I did everything I could in this relationship for us to survive. And so that meant relocating to Clarksville. And again, there's nothing wrong with Clarksville. It's funny because where I live now is a military town, but it's so much smaller than Clarksville. And I'm like, this is nothing compared to Clarksville. I wish we were back in Clarksville, right? But meaning I was
there.
Yeah, right. So we can have more restaurants and more shopping for me.
Right.
But it to me, it was still not necessarily that I need to live up under family, but it was just still too far.
Yeah.
I had a medical emergency while I was there. And when I was in the emergency room, I just kept thinking, like, if I'm about to die, like it's going to take my mom, and my mom is not a long distance driver. So it's going to take my mom to coordinate with somebody to drive her 5 hours this way to ID my body and to bring my body back. Like all sorts of things are running through my mind.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I can't stay here. So I stayed there for 2 years. Yeah, for 2 years, 2.5 years. And then we relocated down to Georgia. And so, we've been here since June of this year.
Amen. I love it. Married and everything. Yeah.
Everything.
Okay. So we know that there was a significant loss, and you've been experiencing this loss for some time. It wasn't a short thing, you've lived like this, you said your whole life. And let me ask you, where is God in all of it? I know he has not called us to say yes to everything and everyone, but where is God showing up in some of your yeses that you said yes to? And you see, man, I'm like, thank God I said yes here. But what about the times where you said yes and you was like, God ain't in this? Like, where's God in all of your walk and your decision making?
So I think the first thing I want to say is I think a lot of times I hear the Spirit, the Holy Spirit saying to me, you're not utilizing the spirit of discernment. And that's one of your problems. Sometimes I operate without God, right? It's, you call me, you ask me for something, I don't say, I'll get back to you, give me a day. I don't take it to God in prayer. I just immediately, yes, right? Because in my head, God has blessed me abundantly with this life that I have, right? And so let me say this, like the one thing my earthly father has taught me where money is concerned, you don't give away something you can't consider to lose, right? So if you call me and you're like, hey, I need to borrow $20, I can lose $20. That just means I don't go out to eat at Chick-fil-A, this week. Right. I'll give the $20. But the problem is I'm not using the spirit of discernment because every week or every 2 weeks, you're calling me to borrow money. Right. And I am enabling you because I can give it to you.
Right. You are now my lifestyle. You're part of my lifestyle, friend.
Yeah, you're part of my lifestyle. And so you get to make all of these bad decisions with your money and mine.
Yes, say that again.
Yeah, and mine, even with my time. right? You get to make all of these piss poor decisions with your time and mine.
Yeah.
And so, God is constantly like, you need to be still. You need to be still. You need to come to me and let's have these conversations. And I need to do a better job at it. I fall short every time.
Yeah, that's good.
Which is why I feel so depleted, right? And God is just like, I didn't create you to be empty. Right. And while I have blessed you and I want you to be a blessing to others, I don't want you to be a depleted person because you're blessing others.
That's not his intent. That
is not his will for my life.
That was not his will. That's not how he designed us. But yes, that is so good, Quana. Like, a lot of times we skip over the discernment because we just believe the best in people. So we assume like they wouldn't be asking if they know my situation. So I'm just going to automatically bypass the discernment part and talk to God and just go straight for the yes. And then I realize like, dang, this done messed up. Yeah, that is so good.
Like when you loan somebody some money because they call you with a sad story, right? And then on social media, they just went and bought a new Louis Vuitton purse.
Right.
And you're like, wait, what? I've been hoodwinked and bamboozled.
Right.
Run amok.
Yes. Talking about yes, that's right. Let it stray.
You got a whole LV?
Yes. And you don't. Because you decided to be wise with your money.
Okay.
But
not too wise, because I just helped you get an LV.
Yeah, exactly. Right? You just paid for that investment. Yeah.
I just helped you. Because that's why you're broke. And that's why you're coming to me. Or, you're coming to me after you went on vacation. Right? And you're asking for money you should have planned for that vacation. And you should have planned for your return home.
That's right. You still got to live.
Bills have to end. You still have to live. And so, I am a work in progress is the best thing I can say. Like I've recently came to this revelation and I've recently brought it up to my therapist. So, it's a slow churn. It's a slow churn because I'm still saying yes to things I want to say no to. Funny, a couple of weeks ago, my husband wanted to go to this little bar spot here. And I didn't want to go. Michelle, I was tired. I had an exhausted week. I didn't want to go out. But my husband wants to go out. And so I lose myself in all the rhetoric about what a wife is supposed to be, right?
Oh my goodness. Yes, go ahead.
I lose myself in all the rhetoric, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm a Proverbs 34. Is it 34?
31.
31. Yeah. Proverbs 31 wife, and I'm trying to make sure I live up to what everybody else has said to me about me. And it's just like, I just know how to be me.
Yes.
I just know how to be me. So anyway, shower, get dressed, we go out. We actually had a good time. I gave the lady my card to start a tab for us, but we were playing some pool and had a couple of drinks, and then we got something to eat and was watching the game. It was time for us to leave. I checked out, got my card back, got the receipt, and we left. So the next day, I had to make a run to Walmart to pick up something, and I went in my purse, pulled out my bank card, went to scan it, and it was like insufficient funds. And I was like, insufficient funds? It wasn't even my card, Michelle. The lady at the place gave me the wrong card.
Wow.
So now I had to go to the banking institution of this individual whose card I had. I took the card there, had them call the individual, let that person know I had their card. I, told them the story. I tried to use the card. So it's, you're going to see that I didn't realize I didn't have my card. Yeah. Do you have my card? She doesn't have my card.
Oh, wow.
Now I have to go call my other banking institution of the card that I use. I have to cancel that card. And I'm like, all of this could have been avoided if I would have just said, no, I'm tired.
Right.
No, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything. I want to Netflix and chill.
Right.
That's what I want to do. Yeah. I want to lay in this bed and I want to snore in your ear. That's what I want to do. Yeah. But I said yes.
Yeah.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Do you want to learn more about the Bible and how it reveals God's plan for humanity? Do you want to discover the connections between the Old and New Testaments and how they form one cohesive story? If so, you should listen to Reasoning Through the Bible, a podcast that explores the scriptures verse by verse with clarity and insight. Join us every week as we dive into the historical context, theological implications, and answers to questions about each passage to see how they apply to our lives today. Don't miss this opportunity to grow your faith and understanding of God's Word. Subscribe to Reasoning Through the Bible.
And it just became so much harder.
Yeah. So then I had to wait 7 to 10 business days to get my banking card in the mail. And I was just like, all of that could have been avoided if you would have just been truthful and said no.
Mm-hmm. What do you think would have happened if you would have just said no?
Probably nothing.
Wow. Yeah.
Probably nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we've been trying to do date nights, right? And there isn't much here. Like I said, this place is not like Clarksville where you have, you know, bowling alleys and stuff like that in Clarksville.
Yeah, 41A. Yeah. Wilma Rudolph. Yeah.
We got to go to another town, which is like an hour away just to go bowling. And so I know that's what he's trying to keep up with the whole, we have date night, right?
Yeah.
But his idea of date night is always going out. And sometimes I just want us to Netflix and chill.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I just want us to Netflix and chill. Like, can we just stay in? I'm tired.
Yeah. And have that conversation. I think, you know, this is such a good conversation because there is a loss of identity when we become spouses. And then when you become a mother, you know, that's an added pressure.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's always outside pressure when when you, even as a lawyer, we have that pressure. Listen, you need to be able to make a lot of, just about.
Girl,
spend me money.
Okay.
You know, everybody knows who you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to have based on what you do, and based on the title that they perceive.
Like I remember when he proposed to me, we had been together for 4 years, 4, 5, 6, 4 years. And you know, of course, I said yes. You know, I love him. I would love to spend the rest of my life with him. But at one point, I asked him. I said, "Are you proposing to me because you really want to spend the rest of your life with me, or are you proposing to me because our family keeps talking about us shacking up and you know y'all ain't getting no younger and y'all been together this long, y'all might as well get because I'm just like, honestly, Michelle, and so let me just say this for your followers who are going to take in a big deep breath. Okay. Like, I can't believe she just said that. I was okay with not being married.
Yeah.
And I think I was okay with that because I had went through my 20s. I desired it. I desired marriage, right? I was just like, when I'm in college, I'm going to meet my husband. It didn't happen. Graduate college. I went into the workforce for a little bit. Didn't meet anybody. Then I went to law school. And I just had tunnel vision. I needed
tunnel vision for law school.
I need to get in and get out.
Yeah.
And so once I was in my 30s, I was just like, I'm probably never going to get married. Then when my father died, at no point in time in my whole entire childhood and young adulthood did I ever envision being married and neither one of my parents being there.
Yeah.
Right? I never envisioned having a big elaborate wedding where I'm spending like $20,000, $30,000. But even if it was something as small as in the backyard, my father was still going to walk me down the aisle. Right? My mom was still going to be there trying to outdress me as if she was the bride. Right? Like it was still going to happen. And so when my father died, and I was like, well, I haven't met anybody. I don't have any kids. So maybe it's not in God's will for me. It's not going to happen. And so when I actually met my husband, and we started talking, I would pray and I would be like, God, who assigned him? Because I've had enough of the riffraffs. Who assigned?
Right.
If this is not your assignment, remove him from my life.
Mhm.
Because I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
And so as we kept going along and I kept seeing his heart and his character and I fell in love with him, I was just like, you know what? I like this.
Yeah.
I like this. But I still didn't have to get, like, I was just like, I like what we are. I like what we are, how we are. I love us. I don't want you to feel any pressure. I am not sitting here saying, oh, we got to get married by the time I'm such and such and such.
Mhm. Yeah.
We could be domestic partners for the rest of our life, as far as I was concerned.
Yeah.
So when he proposed, I was truly surprised and shocked and very, very happy, right? Because again, I had talked myself out of that. But so I wanted to make sure after the, oh my gosh, you're engaged. He and I had a conversation. I wanted to make sure that he was doing it for him and me, and not because all of our family members,
Yes.
The older ones, it's time I get married. Because I feel like a lot of my life has been led by, like you said, what other people are telling me I'm supposed to do, what society says.
Cultural norms. Yep. Mm-hmm.
If a woman says she doesn't want to be married and she doesn't want to have kids, it's like,
what's wrong with you?
What's
going on? Yeah. Why you? Yeah.
I remember when I first started working on my job, I'll say a coworker, but he wasn't really one of my coworkers. He worked in another department. He was assisting with some computer issues. And he was just like, how old are you? And I was like, I'm 30 years old. And he was just like, you have any kids? I was like, no. He was like, you married? I was like, no. What are you, one of them lesbians? And I was like, whoa.
Right? Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Why can't I just be a single Black woman who's not married with kids?
Listen, things.
Oh, and to those who are listening, I have nothing against lesbians. I'm just saying, like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Listen, the dynamics have changed. Before, it was just like we have to go ahead and get married and have kids. But I'm going to say the last 10 years, women are like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
And it's really, especially, and I will say this because there were times when marriage was a necessity to survive. Yeah. You needed the two incomes just to live. So you had to get married. How are you going to live? Who are you going to live? You got to pull your stuff together. But now that people are financially stable on their own and they can pay their own bills, they can go out to eat and go on vacation on their own. The need to have marriage, it's completely different.
It's completely different.
Yeah, when you get married now, it's because you actually want to be married. It's not because you need to. I don't need your money. Yeah. I don't need to have you in my life. I desire to have you. I want you to be here. So it really does change the narrative, and it changes how we view what some would consider love. I mean, was it love out of, self-preservation? Look, I gotta eat every day, so I'm gonna have to get married, okay? And I will learn to love you. I will grow into loving you. If you feed me every day, it's there, But now it's just like, well, whether you feed me or not, I still love you.
I still love you.
Yeah, because I know how to
and not only do I still love you, I still like you. So I say that often to my husband. I'll say to him, I like you. Yeah. And I remember when we were dating and I first said that to him, he looked at me and he was just like, what? Yeah. And I was just like, listen, this is my personal perspective on life. I think it's important to like your spouse.
Yes.
We love our family members, but don't like a lot of them.
Right.
I love you because you're my family member. I love you because I gotta love you. We love people, right? Because God tells us that's his main commandment. Jesus, love your neighbor as you love yourself. But we don't necessarily like a lot of them.
Right. You may not like them. They may have these cantankerous attitudes and behaviors. And we're just like, I don't really like being around them.
Yeah, I don't like being around. So the fact that I like you and I like being around you, it makes it easier for me to love you.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Okay, so talk to me, because we talked about the losses. And, I'm trying to decide what I want to name the show, The Loss of My Best Yes. And I think that's probably going to
Ah,
be it. But we talked about that. We talked about God. And this is good with the light because we're shining light on discernment, okay,
yes,
and where God
yes.
shows up. Now, talk to us about the
Oh, wait,
laughter. Uh-huh.
before we get to
Yeah.
the laughter, I want to point out for your audience that the other part of the light is, in our community, in the Black community, whether you're West Indian, African, African American, Afro Latino, there's this negative thing about therapy, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
even in the church community, there are some people that's just like, oh, God will work it out. Oh, you don't need a therapist, pray to God. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is my perspective on it. God has placed everything on this earth for us to use. He has allowed this earth, this world to evolve where we have different professions. And one of the professions that I believe are an extension of God when you find the right fit.
Yeah.
It's therapy. It's a good
Yes.
therapist. So, listen, get you a therapist. We all need one.
Yes.
We all have some trauma.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And life itself, COVID in and of itself was traumatic.
Yes, it was. I am a firm believer of Jesus and therapy.
Yes.
Both.
It's not your therapist is not replacing God.
That's right. That's
your
right.
therapist is not replacing Jesus. Your therapist is not replacing the Holy Spirit.
That's right. That's right. You need someone to talk to.
It's just a sounding board, somebody for you to talk to that can give you a different perspective. They're not going to tell you how to think. They're not going to tell you what to feel. They're just going to give you a different perspective. And sometimes you just want to be able to say something to somebody that you don't know that's not going to pass judgment. Because sometimes your will pass judgment.
It'll come back to bite you in the butt. Yeah. So it's better that I just talk to this stranger here. And then they give an outside perspective.
Yes.
Like you don't even know, you can't see it for yourself. I was talking to someone about this earlier because I was on another interview. And I was just like, when I was going through my scandal, everything was happening. I had to stop. I was like, what am I doing? Because I would never advise. So I could not see the mess that I was in until I got out. And sometimes, having a therapist they're actually just going to reiterate what you said. And when you hear it, you're like, did I say it? Am I really doing
for somebody? Yes.
You're like in denial. It's because they're not so logical, girl. It is you.
It is you.
It is what you're doing. Yeah. So I agree. I am all for, therapy and having God, having that firm foundation when you can bring the two together. Hey, that's bliss. That's supernatural right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. I'm like, if you go to a cardiologist for your heart, a podiatrist for your feet, a dermatologist for your skin, you have a primary care physician, you go to the eye doctor, you go to the dentist, you go to an ENT. Why would you not want to take care of your mental health?
Right. That's still part of your body. Yes.
Why would you not want to take care?
Exactly. But
let's take care of our mental health. Let's make that a priority.
Yes. And I'm glad you brought that to our audience attention, because now you just phrased it in a way that maybe they weren't looking at it. Yes. Okay. We go to doctors for everything else. Why not, go to someone, that's trained.
Yes.
In the way we think. And a lot of times we want to talk to a pastor, but he hasn't studied the mind.
Yes.
So he may not be equipped to handle some of the things that we're experiencing.
Yes.
And then now we're dealing with church hurt because the pastor said something that was incorrect and he wasn't qualified to say, but you trusted him. And I'm like, listen, like you said, listen, these two are not matching. Okay. I'm not gonna listen to, an orthodontist about my eyes.
Hello.
Yeah, nothing.
Okay.
Different parts of the body, friend. Okay. I appreciate your level of education, but they ain't matching. So why should I be offended at them if I'm taking, you're not qualified. It's not a knock against your brain or your mentality or your understanding. You're just not qualified in that area.
Yeah.
And so I agree with you. Yes. So, okay. Talk to us about the laughter, because we laugh all the time. Okay. And I know Quana is real cool. She's a real chill person. And And it's probably because she says those yeses, but she's always had that, just a jovial spirit. Just even from 17, we were 14, 15 when we met each other. Okay.
I was thinking about when we first started working at the bank that we worked at. The corporate bank.
Yes,
I was thinking, and I was just like, Michelle and I go way back.
Yes.
Sorry, I digress.
Sure
Sorry, audience. I digress.
When they was having that merger and we did start working together over the summer, I'll tell you.
It was awesome.
Yes,
it was awesome.
Yes.
So the laughter, it's ebbs and flows. So sometimes when I'm able to give a no, I laugh at when they ask me why. It tickles me.
Yeah.
It tickles me, Michelle.
Because they're entitled to your yes.
I'm like, if I said yes, you wouldn't have asked me why.
Right.
But when I say no, you have the audacity. Yeah. Girl, I laugh. I just laugh so hard.
I'm entitled to you to say yes. Okay, you better say yes to me. Okay. The idea of hearing no come out your mouth, they're like clutching pearls.
Yeah, clutching pearls. So that that's a part of my laughter. Also, just I don't know. Sometimes I feel as if I have to find my laughter in just other ways, even when I feel like I'm being annoyed by this, by one family member or one friend that's constantly asking me for things. Eventually in a conversation, I'm kind of sort of passive aggressive where I'll make a joke out of it and be like, so what's going on with you? Because you seem to think that you're on my payroll. Every 2 weeks you're calling me.
Yeah.
I'll make like a joke. I'll make a joke out of it, and they'll straighten up for a little while. They'll let a couple of months go by, and then I'll get the text message on a phone call again.
It's back again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's like it's little things that I'm able to laugh at. Mm-hmm. And again, there is a part of me that I do feel like I just thank God every day that I am in a position to give. I am in a position to bless. I just have to remember to give to myself and to bless myself. Yes. I have to remember to be still. And sometimes it's not about the quick yeses, right? Mm-hmm. Seek God. God, should I give again? Should I give to this person again? Yeah. This is that 15th time in the last 3 months. Like, should I? And not just take it upon myself. Mm-hmm. I am kind to a fault at times. Mm-hmm. More often than not, I'm kind to a fault. And so a lot of times people take my kindness for a weakness. So when I am strong, and a lot of times my strength comes out in a mean, angry way, that also makes me laugh. And it's torn. It sounds. I get it. It sounds really harsh, but it's like, yeah, because you were taking my kindness for a weakness. So right. Now let me show you who I can be. And This is not what you want to see again. This is not what you want to see again. Leave me alone.
She can find humor in anything. Okay. She can find humor in stuff. Okay. Even in anger, she can find, she look bad.
Yes.
To find some humor and some stuff. And really, that's a really good thing. That's a really good trait to have. Because we do go through some very hard, heavy hits in life.
Yeah.
And I've invited a number of people to be on the show, and a lot of people want to be on the show. But when we talk about the laughter part, it's very hard for people. And I'm like, but we laugh every day.
It doesn't seem like the laughter is tied to the loss and the like, it just seems like it, like I said, it comes in spurts, right?
Yeah.
And so it's hard to talk about the laughter, although I'm always laughing, right?
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why I was just like, no, Michelle, I have to see your face. Like, I have to hear you laugh. I love hearing you laugh, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those things. I think laughter, if laughter is great for the soul and the spirit.
It is. Yes.
It's
healing.
So much so that my father would always say to me, God has a sense of humor. If you pay attention, God has jokes, right? And so, so little things will happen and I would just crack up and I'd be like, that was a good one, God. That was a good one.
That's me too. I'm like, I see you, God. I see you.
Yeah, that was a good one, bro. I got you.
I see you, God. Yes, yes. And I promise you, it just keeps you close.
Yes.
And it just lets you know that he's there, he sees you. And it's just, I love that. I absolutely love it. Okay, before we wrap up, do you have any last minute advice to our audience members about their yeses, about their losses? And
I definitely do. So for those who are like me that finds themselves to constantly be in a people-pleasing mode, just, I want you to consider yourself and how much you're going to deplete from yourself. And I just want you to know I'm talking to myself as well as I'm saying this to you all. How important is it for you to satisfy others over your own satisfaction? Sometimes, I'm at the point now where I'm just like, if I say yes, what am I going to get out of it? Right. And to me, the reason why I try not to operate in that mode, because I find it that's selfish, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm operating in what am I going to get out of it? But when you have so many people coming to you, at some point, you got to look and be like, can I go to any of y'all to help me pay my student loan? Because that joke is $1,400 a month. I can't go to y'all. So since I can't get nothing from y'all, you know what? I got to stop giving y'all. Get the therapy you need to get yourself back, to get your voice back, to work through. Like I said, I've just come to this revelation recently. And so I am currently working with my therapist. We're on like a little break, for the holidays, cause my therapist has kids. And so we'll be traveling for the holidays. So, but yeah, I am actively working to try to make sure that I am able to fill my cup back up and have it back running over in abundance, so that I can bless other people, but also be steady and a blessing to myself with sanity and fullness. So yeah, that's the advice I would give.
So that's some good advice right there. And so, Kwana, I want to thank you again for coming on and
thank you for inviting me. Yes. This is so fun.
It is like my old girlfriend, like from back in high school. Oh my goodness, her mama used to call me Edie Bits. And I'm like, not anymore, okay? And they listen, every time I would go to their house, because we used to study for the SATs, right?
Yes.
I would be over there eating. Like, yeah, eating over there. Listen, I'm doing both, okay?
No, but not just eating, Michelle. Eating, dancing, and humming.
Like, I have to get off air. Look, she's bringing it up. She putting my business out there, y'all. We have to eat this show.
You got to shut it down quick. Hilarious.
You gotta know how to laugh at yourself, y'all.
Yes.
So listen, okay. This concludes this episode of Lost, Light, and Laughter. Shaquana Cooper Williams. Thank you so much for coming on. I love you, girl.
Thank you. Love you more.
It's time to show love, everybody. Show love one time. It's time to give praise, everybody. Give praise one time. Yeah. It's time to show love, everybody. Show love one time.